the talk about games, played by Ryan and Mike. A modern, a retro video game show. Yes, we talk about games and sometimes other stuff, like Star Trek, It's a Blast, our gaming podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Talk About Games. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Mike, and today we'll be talking about Jet Set Radio or Jet Grind Radio.
Oh, we'll get into that.
And ToeJam and Earl. So,
yeah.
Why don't we get it going? Tell me about Jet Set Radio.
All right, so Jet Set Radio, as everyone knows it now, but that's not how I knew it, because I originally played it on the Dreamcast in the United States, where it was called Jet Grind Radio. Because to Jet Set,
I was always confused of that because it had the two names, and I actually thought they were two different games.
right? And what's weird about it is when you get to the Xbox and you get into Jet Set Radio Future, then it's called Jet Set Radio in the United States. So it's interesting that it came around. But anyway, the term to jet set is like, I'm going on vacation. I'm going to go on a plane. I'm going to jet set.
Okay.
And somebody had that
Jet and Set.
jet set
Right.
trademarked in the United States. And Sega was worried about getting in trouble for that. So they're like, oh, we'll just change the name of the game.
I have a question, actually. So if that's what it means, like to jet set, you're going to like take an airplane and take a vacation, basically. What does that have to do with like rollerblading around and spray painting stuff?
I have no idea.
Okay.
but the point is that Sega was worried about the trademark. So they called it Jet Grind Radio. And I have to say, and this is controversial.
There's a licensing thing.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
Oh, yeah. I think that Jet Grind Radio makes more sense. Really?
Because you're grinding?
Because you're grinding.
Okay.
Constantly.
Yeah.
The whole time you're grinding.
True.
You literally never stop grinding.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it has aggressiveness to it. It's like, oh, I'm going to jet set. No, I don't want to jet set. I want to jet grind. Right?
So you prefer how it was?
I prefer
anyway.
how it was, but I know everybody else feels otherwise.
Now, you played this when you were a teenager?
I did.
And so take us back to that a little bit.
Okay, so, you go back through the sands of the winds of time. Yeah, going back. So I got the Dreamcast the day it came out. I got 2 games with it. I got Soul Calibur and Power Stone.
Okay.
And I played the crap out of the Dreamcast. I love the Dreamcast. Like the PS2 came out. Yeah, the PS2 got good, but I loved my Dreamcast. It's one of my favorite systems of all time.
Did you have Bordered Down?
I did not.
Bordered Down is a really, really fucking interesting shmup, and maybe I'll bring it to the show one day because it's a lot different than many other shmups. Because like shmups can be largely the same. That's a really interesting one. And we're on Dreamcast for a second. Did you happen to ever play or know about the Mickey Mouse racing game?
No, I didn't.
That's a good racing game.
Really?
It is.
That's interesting.
You have to try it out one day.
Yeah. So, Dreamcast came out and all the games were in jewel cases and they had white labels on them. Towards the end, they changed the label from white to black. Jet Grind Radio is one of the first black games, like as they changed the way the game looked. Jet Grind Radio came out at a time when we had Tony Hawk fever, when we had Dave Mirra BMX fever, where everybody was making like extreme sports, X Games style games, Cool Borders, and there was just so many SSX. And
so I played some SSX. I think I had more fun with SSX. I had the GameCube one.
Yeah.
I had more fun with that than Tony Hawk, but I know Tony Hawk's such a big game, but my thing with those games is, I don't know, I just don't know how much I care about like doing tricks, because a lot of it is, you're grinding on something, then you flip off of something, and it's like you got to like do these tricks to get points. And for me, I guess it's because I'm not like that into like skateboarding and stuff. Like I think you maybe need to be into that a little bit to care, I guess.
So all of the games that are in this genre, your Tony Hawks and stuff, are all about tricks and points.
Right.
Tricks and points. Jet Set Radio is not about tricks or points.
That's why this is more interesting.
But you have to think about it, because I came off of Tony Hawk 2 on the Dreamcast for the longest time, was one of the greatest versions of Tony Hawk, because the Dreamcast was a little better than the PlayStation. So I'm coming off of that, and I learned this new term in my vocabulary that nobody was ever talking about before. No.
Okay.
The new term in my vocabulary was cell shading.
Oh, right.
Right. So
I guess this is pre-Wind Waker.
Yeah.
By a little bit.
By a little tiny bit, right?
Because I think Wind Waker's the thing that popularized the term.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Because it was a Zelda title, which is huge, and everybody's like cell shading, and you know. So
but I think Japan was getting ready for cell shading, because it's like, how do we get closer to this cartoon, this anime look?
Yeah.
You think games like Initial D and things like that, and Wind Waker, of course, being the huge standout.
we should do a Wind Waker video.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think so.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this and I'm like, I've never seen this. It looks like a cartoon. It looks amazing. Now, a lot of this is rose-colored glasses, because playing it now, it doesn't look that amazing. You know, because you look at Dragon Ball Z Fighters, or the game we played recently, Demon Slayer, and you look at what cel-shaded is today in 4K
So
and
it's dated.
HD and all of that. I played this game in HD. There is a PC version, and the footage you're seeing on the screen is from the PC version.
It got remastered?
It got remastered.
Okay.
Right? So, and all the footage I recorded was from that.
Did it ever come out on PlayStation, or was it just Dreamcast?
It's just Dreamcast.
Just Dreamcast. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if the re-release has hit consoles other than Steam.
Right.
But it is on Steam, and just for everyone watching, there's some weird stuff about the Steam version. The Steam version, when I installed it on my computer, Windows 10 would not start. I had to right-click on it. I had to click Show Local Files, and then I had to run the executable from the folder.
Don't get me started on Windows. That's a whole nother
Yeah.
thing. Okay.
So I run it. It runs. Crashed once while we were recording this footage.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but only once. You know, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just warming up. No.
Yeah.
So, the version we got in North America, Jet Grind Radio, is actually a little different, and this might be a reason why you might want to go hunt down the original Dreamcast version.
Okay.
Jet Set Radio is all about style.
Yeah.
First and foremost, they have the cel-shaded graphics, and they have the soundtrack by Hideki Naganuma, which is, you know, full lyrical songs in the style of like different kinds of like urban pop and punk and hip hop music.
Which I would imagine you're probably not hearing here because of Content ID.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big concern that it is music. It's not a score.
There's a bunch of games I'd like to stream, namely Grand Theft Auto Vice City, but it's like, and then a lot of people are like, well, why not just turn the music off? And it's like, I don't want to play that game without the music.
That's part of it.
That's part of it, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And when the game came to North America, they added licensed music because they added 2 areas to it. There's like a Times Square like level, and then there's another level. And I just remember hitting that Times Square level, and you know, the Hideki Naganuma music is timeless. It's interesting. It's not pop music. But this game has Dragula from Rob Zombie in it, and it has the song Just Got Wicked from Cold.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Cold, it's like, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah.
Right? So Cold was like a new metal band, and the song Just Got Wicked's in there, and I was really into that type of music at the time because I was
So it was like perfect for you.
angry teen. So hitting that, it was really great.
Yeah.
So they were smart to add that in that time period.
Yeah.
It made sense because the Tony Hawk audience was there. And you know what I think's funny? Dragula is in the game, but it's also in another big game at the time. And it's
Yeah.
Gran Turismo 2.
You keep saying Dragula, and I'm pretty sure that's the name. I keep going to, it's the name of Grandpa Munster's car.
Yeah.
Is the Dragula.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking
Well,
about.
because Rob Zombie's like a hard guy. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
know.
I probably what that came from.
But this game, I hate to say it, for all the good things I'm going to say about the style, about how it fit into the place and time and all of this, this game is kind of not very good. Okay?
I did not expect you to say that.
It's enjoyable, but it has a lot of problems.
Okay.
If this game was on a modern system, it would be amazing.
Okay.
If it was done with modern sensibilities. But this game plays and looks and feels like an indie game. What do a lot of indie games have in common? They have an art style. Well, this game has an art style. They have it's like a smaller game, right? This game, by modern standards, is small. Back then, the box says open world.
Yeah.
Amazing open world. Compared to
Not to today's standards.
No,
yeah.
no.
So it's like if you're like playing like Miles Morales now and you come back to this, you're like, is it like you wish it was like that kind of?
Because Miles Morales, Spider-Man, cheats to make you feel like a badass. Okay, you cannot swing with super accuracy in reality. Like, you as a game player can't do the math and run the analog sticks. There are people who can. I'm sure there are people who can. But there's so much wiggle room where the game kind of
Fixes it for you.
figures it out for you. Like, if Spider-Man crashes into a wall, he starts running up it.
Right.
There's so many frames of animation.
Because they don't want to like slow the game down by having shit. Yeah.
They don't want you to feel like an idiot where you're jammed against a wall and the camera's like shaking.
They just want you having fun so you want to play more. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This game,
Which I think is good, actually.
this game, the camera will jam against a wall. The grind points are hard to see. You're constantly like slamming against things. The enemy animation is weird. Like
It's wonky.
It just goes on and on and on and on. But it does have charm and it's cool and it's interesting. But the idea of how you would play, how this game feels in your head, like, oh, I'm going to grind and I'm going to do all this stuff and it's going to be awesome.
So just for some people that haven't played it, what are like the basics of like what you're doing?
So there's 4 different types of levels, okay? There's 3 big zones, but every level kind of takes place in a subset of the zone. There's a few that go all around, but normally it's like, oh, we're going to look at what happens in this part of the level.
Okay.
The first type is there's graffiti from rival gangs all over the place, and the police are on patrol.
Okay.
And you have to go around and you have to spray your graffiti over their graffiti, plus put a couple new ones on a time limit.
Okay, so that's one of them, right?
That's one. The other type is there's 3 people from a rival gang, and they're following a preset path around the level, and you have to get spray cans and spray each of the 3 rival gang members 10 times.
Is the spraying with the spray cans, like spray paint, right?
Yeah.
Is it better than the spraying with spray paint in Bart versus the Space Mutants?
Yeah.
A little bit better?
Like a billion times better.
Okay.
I guess because
I had to have my Mike Matei moment.
And that was a Mike Matei moment.
That's been a Mike Matei moment.
Yeah. The spray cans respawn.
Yeah.
Which is good. It's not like, there's 7 things and you find 7, and if you fuck up, you're
okay. You just keep getting. Okay. I see what you mean.
They respawn, so you can kind of get different ones.
Okay.
And the different characters can hold different amounts of spray.
Okay, so that's the second thing. What's the next thing you can do?
Trick challenges.
Okay.
Where this is usually how you unlock members of your gang. They'll do a trick. By do a trick, I mean they'll like grind a rail and then jump.
You have to copy it?
You have to copy it.
Okay.
It's like horse.
I think I saw you doing that. Yeah.
Right? And then the last type, and probably the hardest, is a race. Because there's no markings that show you where the end is.
Oh, that kind of sucks.
So the only way that you can do it
It's like
is
trial and error.
And figure it out. Because if you just follow the guy,
Yeah.
they'll get to the end and there's no way you can beat them. You have to like take shortcuts and go through the level. Once you figure out what you're supposed to do, it feels good.
But the learning process is painful.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
This is not a hard game. It's hard so there's like tons of unlockable characters.
Yeah.
There's the storyline characters, of which there is 10. But then you can unlock all the rival gang members and their secret characters. And to do that, you're going to have to get like the high score.
So my question is the game beatable, and how do you beat it if you can?
So you just go through all the storyline levels and you beat it.
And you get to the end and...
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. There's also a bunch of collectibles in the levels.
Okay, so does that make it have replayability where you can go back into old levels and get stuff?
You can go back in the old
That's
level.
cool.
But it's
I always
weird.
like that.
They kind of like go in a cycle. So like if you want to get a certain score on a certain level to unlock a character, like you may have to do a couple of levels to have that one pop back up.
Yeah.
Which is kind of clunky.
Yeah.
There should be like if it was a real modern open world game, you'd like go to a character and like start the mission.
Does it have like a lot? Is there speaking? Is there like a lot of language where they're saying like
No.
like hip language and stuff?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So there is a guy who runs a pirate radio station called Jet Set Radio or Jet Grind Radio, depending which version you're playing. And he like kind of gives the news of like, this gang's going here. And the gangs have funny names. I want you to read some of the gang names for you.
All right, let's go.
Okay, you got Poison Jam.
Okay.
They are like horror movie monster fans.
Oh, that's cool.
And they do like Thriller.
Yeah,
And stuff.
right.
You got the Noise Tanks, which are like, you know the Beastie Boys video Intergalactic, how they're like in the suits like that. They're like that, but like to the next level.
Okay.
You got the Love Shockers, which are like these like punk girls.
Okay.
And then you have the Goji Rokaku, which is like the evil corporation that shows up.
Okay.
Because as you're unlocking the things, the storyline is that, you know, this corporation is trying to like make Tokyo To, which is the town in the game, like better. Like they're trying to like urban renewal, like make the city safer.
But really, they're trying to like take over.
But
or
really,
something.
they're a gang, just like
Right.
the kids, you know.
It's like they're in the guise of
Yeah.
like, oh, we're doing this for your own good, but not really.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the story is like a joke. It's like
Right.
yo, man, don't stop me from skateboarding and stuff with my friends. You know,
it's not to be taken.
it's not like
seriously,
super
right,
serious.
right.
And the fact is that the police like very quickly go from like, oh, they have tear gas to they have Apache helicopters and tanks and they're paratrooping in. And
Do you know if there was any other? Because I've heard about this game so much, and have there been? Because I thought that Jet Grind was a sequel. Now I'm learning it's just a different name
Yeah.
for it. Were there ever any sequels?
So there's Jet Set Radio, which is this one. There's Jet Set Radio Future, which is on the original Xbox.
Okay.
And then there's Jet Set Radio, which is on Game Boy Advance.
A Game Boy Advance one.
Yeah,
Have you ever
and
tried
I
that?
hear it's good.
Okay,
Like
so
people
you-
say that it's like relatively faithful for
Okay. For
what
being
it
great
is.
Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. I think this is a game that the style really carries it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's nowhere near as good as, you know, people respect it to be.
Yeah.
Like if I go on Steam, the Steam community, there's all this fan art and all this shit. I'm like, if you look at the number of people playing it versus the number of people making fan art and cosplay,
It's
and-
more like they like the style of it, and not so much what the actual gameplay is.
Yeah.
Because the game, because
you're gonna spend half this game like jammed with a shitty camera against a wall, like hopping weird,
Yeah.
versus actually being like a cool skater.
Right.
If you want to play a game where you're a cool skater and you're going all over the place and the control is like super tight,
I know what you're gonna say.
what?
Roller games on NES.
Oh, yeah, totally. That's how did you know? No, Tony Hawk Underground.
Which, by the way, actually isn't a bad game.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I actually like that game.
Tony Hawk Underground is awesome.
Okay.
It's the first.
Is that rollerblading, not
No,
skateboarding?
it's skateboarding.
Oh, it is skateboarding.
Yeah.
Okay.
This you have like rocket skates, but it
yeah,
plays
yeah.
the same.
Right.
In fact, I think they could have. I would have loved. I'm going to make this game better now.
Okay.
Okay, so this game needs a modern camera. That's number one. Number two, it needs more forgiving lock on when you jump to grind.
Mm-hmm.
There's two shoulder buttons you use for this game. The first one is to spray, and the second one is to do to skate faster.
Okay.
And much like Sonic the Hedgehog, when you go from Sonic the Hedgehog 1, where you don't have the spin dash, to Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and more, where you could charge up and spin dash,
Okay.
this game needs to have more speed. And what happens is you hold down that speed button and like blue sparks come out of your skates, and your guy gets maybe 2 or 3 strides, and then the blue sparks stop.
Okay.
But there's no gauge or meter or thing to show you that you have that. They should be way more forgiving with the charge
Okay.
from the skates.
Yeah. So this needs like a remake, basically.
Dude, if this game had a remake, it would be amazing.
Yeah.
And with the graphics and the cel-shaded and everything, it'd be nuts.
Now, but if they remake it, it's not like some sort of pixel remake. You want what graphic wise, like what would you like compare it to? Like what is in your mind, like to
Yeah, I mean,
because it would still have to have that style.
So it would have to be on Switch.
Okay, right.
So, it can't be like crazy things. It
Right.
has to be cel-shaded.
right.
Right? It definitely should be like on the graphical fidelity level of Breath of the Wild, but having that crazy style,
Okay,
right? Like a lot of these characters could just be modified slightly to be,
gotcha.
using the modern thing. And like the enemies could be so much more interesting. The levels are kind of claustrophobic.
It seems like they, what I feel like I haven't played it, but
Yeah.
what it seems like what it might benefit from is like challenges.
Yes. And it's in there kind of, but this game feels like an indie game.
Mm-hmm.
What I think is interesting is this game was developed by a group of developers within Sega that were all like under 25.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the people who worked on this are out there working on
New things.
all the time, but like it was kind of a novel concept. And
Well, I'm glad that you brought this to talk about, because this is a thing. See, I didn't get the Dreamcast or have it until much later. It's cool that you got it when it originally came out. I always wanted it back then, but I had there's so many consoles and things even back then, but it's always a game I heard about, and I always thought, oh God, I should get to that game. Now hearing you talk about it, I probably won't unless they do a remake.
you wouldn't like this game.
Yeah.
I don't think, because if you're not into all this style and all this history and you have nostalgia, like you need nostalgia for this.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed playing it because I remembered a lot of the things.
Bit of nostalgia for you.
Yeah. But like it's got problems. It's cool. There are very few games that are as cool as this game.
Right.
If this game wasn't cool, it would be a pile of shit. But because it's cool, you're just like, oh, the camera's a little weird. Oh, it's a little hokey, whatever. But nobody was doing this. Nowadays, with indie games, people are doing unique styles.
All kinds of stuff. Yeah.
All the time. Right? So it was kind of like way ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Because if it came out nowadays, it'd be like this tight thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love this. I picked this game, as we talked about in prior episodes. Mike typically picks games he's streaming. Mm-hmm. And then I try to find something to complement it, usually.
Not always, but usually.
I picked Jet Set Radio because I felt like it was a game that was trying to capture what was cool and hip and urban and what the kids would like at the time of the early 2000s, late 90s.
Yeah.
And I think the game that you're playing...
It kind of did the same thing, but a little bit earlier. So my game's the original ToeJam and Earl, and people, when I said ToeJam and Earl originally, when I started streaming it, people were like, "Oh, cool! You're gonna play." They think I'm talking about Panic and Funkatron,
right?
And I'm like, "Well, that's a side-scrolling game, and that's fine too. Nothing wrong with that, but." I don't think it's nearly as interesting as the original game. And I was surprised. I'm always surprised to find out with ToeJam and Earl, because you see like lists of top Sega Genesis games, and ToeJam and Earl is almost always on that list. And then you go to stream it or talk about it, and then there's always people that are like, fuck this game, like this game sucks. And like there's a lot of people that hate ToeJam and Earl, and that like surprised me, because it's such like a nice little game with like nice, like kind of cute little characters and stuff. And the gameplay itself is really interesting that I was kind of taken aback by like, whoa, this is like a popular like Genesis game that's like it's fun. It's like what's the problem? And maybe because it's weird and I think some people don't understand it. So as I started playing this game and I had played it before, I realized that it's a roguelike game and I didn't really realize that. And I think I just never thought about it. But essentially ToeJam and Earl, and people ask me, what's the point of ToeJam and Earl? What is this game? You're aliens, you're space aliens, and you're traveling through the universe in a spaceship, and your spaceship crashes on a planet and breaks into pieces. And the pieces go all over this planet, but this planet is weird. The planet is broken up into sections and levels. So, that go up essentially. And you have to go get your ship pieces back so that you can get home to your home planet, get home to your family. But at the same time, your characters are like just these hip, cool aliens because it was the 90s and somebody was like, well, instead of just having like maybe 2 robots or 2 humans or something, let's do something hip and cool. Put sunglasses on him and make the other guy, have sneakers on and stuff like that. And it's like, I think that was a good idea because I don't think people would remember it or be talking about it 20 years, 30 years later or putting it on lists. That is like the hook of the game, and it's the reason. If it was the same exact game but everything was generic, nobody would care as much. It would have got lost in the shuffle.
You know what I like about ToeJam and Earl? It's a game that doesn't need to have a date on it for you to know
when it was made.
Yeah, because it's like the most 90s
thing
freaking game that you could have, and it reminds me of like this game is like so much like All That and like all those shows. Like it's just the style, like the way they walk, it's
the most like well, they're constantly saying things in the game like when you level up your characters, it's like Rad Dude and like Bodacious or whatever they're called. But the most 90s thing in the game is when you go from one level to the next level, you get an elevator and you go up to the next level. When you're in that elevator, it's kind of like a loading screen, actually.
Yeah.
The background, it looks like the intro to Saved by the Bell.
It's like
those birthday paper, wrapping paper graphic kind of thing. And it's just very stylized of that era. But I didn't at all bring this game to the show because of that cool aspect. I brought it because of the gameplay.
I get it.
Yeah, go.
I can tell you my one memory of ToeJam and Earl. So I had this friend, and we were all playing NES, and then he's like, yo, I'll get the Genesis. And Genesis comes, he's got Shinobi, he's got shit like that, but he's got ToeJam and Earl. And he sticks it and he's like, this game's really cool. And then I'm like trying to figure it out.
There's a lot to figure out.
I'm trying to figure it out. I'm not figuring it out. And he's just like in the water. He like floats.
Yeah.
He's just like going that way.
Right.
And that's not what you do.
He didn't know how to play it.
Right. He's just in the water.
Right.
And I'm like, it's probably not good.
Probably not good.
Right.
It seems like your friend didn't know how to play it.
Right.
Or just fucking around. Yeah, so I mean
Like-
so it can be a 2-player split screen game.
Right.
The one, like, to be fair, the one negative thing I can say is like there's ToeJam and there's Earl, and ToeJam is the red guy, and like the fat guy with the sunglasses, that's Earl. ToeJam is a little bit faster than Earl, but even ToeJam walks pretty slow.
Yeah.
And I think they walk a little too slow, but you kind of have to walk slow because some of the things, like a new area will open up as you're walking around, and there'll be like these little bridges and stuff that you have to get over. And if you're moving too fast, you're going to like fall off the side and stuff. So there's a reason why you're walking that slow. Maybe if they would have designed the game from the beginning to where you're walking faster and whatever, like they probably should have made you walk a little faster. So that's probably the one thing that is kind of annoying. You do get all kinds of things to get you to speed up, but they're like limited.
Yeah.
It's like the nicest feeling in the world when you get like the jet shoes or something like that, and then you can run faster. And you're like, thank God, I can like move faster. So that can be a little,
So, explain it to me.
Sure.
How do you play it?
Okay, so you've played roguelikes before, right?
Yeah, I have.
So just like most like roguelikes, it's like you go into a thing, and a lot of roguelikes are like you go into a thing and then you go down to the next level, and you go down to the next level, and you're trying to make it to the bottom or something, and then if you die, you start over. It's the same thing, except this time you're going up.
Yep.
So you're going, also Sheer the Wanderers like that, you're going up a mountain. So you walk around at the map, and you're trying to find the ship pieces. Now, there are... it's just like this. Pretend the table is like the level, and basically you're walking around, and as you move around on your map, you can hit start and get the map of the whole level. You're uncovering the map, kind of like a fog of war kind of thing. As you're moving, you go back to the map, and it flips over a tile, and then it's like, okay, you uncovered a little bit more of the map. When you open presents or move and flip over a tile of the map, that's how you get experience. And when you get experience, your health meter goes up. So that's how your character can get stronger and stronger as you go, because you do have a health meter. There's enemies all over the stages, and if the enemy touches you or does something to you, throws a tomato at you or whatever they do, I think there's like a guy that shoots arrows at you, like a chubby cherub or whatever. They'll hurt you in different ways, and some enemies hurt you more than others. There's like a pack of nerds who will run along and they'll run you over and might take like half your health away or something. So how do you get your health back? There's food all over the level. There might be a slice of pizza or a Coke,
of course,
French fries. It's all that kind of stuff because cool. It's cool. Yeah. It's fast food, dude. So that's how you refill your health. And you walk around and you try to find the ship piece, and not every level has a ship piece on it. So if you go to second level, it'll say ship piece here or no ship piece here, and then you'll know, okay, all I got to do is find the elevator and get up to the third level, and then you get to the third level and it's like, oh, no ship piece here. Guess I got to go to the fourth level, and then maybe there's a ship piece on that.
Do you lose health over time?
No.
I guess you only do if you're in like the water or something.
If you're in the water because he needs to be able to breathe, you lose health. Yeah.
Okay, because for the longest time, I remember this game, and you always remember things weird. I thought you like lost health over time, and you had to get to the end.
If you get stuck in the water early on, like when you first start playing, you'll probably think that, because when you first start the game, your health meter is so small that if you get in the water, you can just kill yourself really quickly, because he'll run out of breath really quickly, and then you'll think that was your health meter. It's not. It's just because you can only breathe for a short period of time. So that's what I meant. You walk around the map and you flip over those tiles, and then you level up to the next level. Your health meter gets longer. So when you're halfway through the game, if you get in the water, you can last longer. You have to really pay attention when you're in the water to make sure that you don't drown. But you're not really supposed to be in the water that long without an item. There's presents all over the place. And you get a present. Some of the presents help you in the water. For example, there's the jet shoes where you can just go over water, or there's a raft, inner tube type of thing.
And, I remember that.
And then that's like your friend got in the inner tube.
Yeah.
Right? And you can get in the inner tube, and then you can be in the water longer. So there's all kinds of different enemies in the game. There's like little devils that go around, and there's all kinds of things. Like I said, there's like nerds and stuff like that, and there's ice cream trucks that can run you over. All kinds of crazy stuff happens. One of the things that you have to do in this game, kind of like Diablo, is you have to identify items. So if there's a present on the ground, you pick it up, but then you go into your menu and it's just a bunch of question marks.
Yeah.
So you're like, fuck, I don't know what this thing is. And if you open it, it could be good. It could be life, or it could be something that's going to hurt you. You don't know. So you have to get to the identify guy to identify your items.
Is that what he's called?
He is a carrot man.
Okay.
So this is
identify guy is a carrot name.
This is where, because they're trying. Okay, so this is another example of you get to the guy who's going to identify your items. And originally, I bet he was just like a guy. And then they were like, this is boring. We have to like spice it up because the whole game is supposed to be like goofy 90s stuff. So they're like, let's put him in a costume. And they decided to put him in a carrot costume.
Works for me.
So they were just trying to have fun with it and make a goofy, wacky game. Everything's wacky and goofy. So, but when you play the game and you don't know these things, you're like, what? I got to go to a carrot man? It's just like, it's trial and error. You got to learn what everything is.
You know what's interesting? We look at a lot of things that kids do nowadays, like a lot of cartoons, like the best example is something like SpongeBob, where SpongeBob, if you just watch it, it's like random. You're like, what the fuck is happening?
Right.
It's so weird.
Right.
But like to people of that generation, it's like very natural to them. It's like, oh yeah, well, you know, it's SpongeBob, it's memes, it's whatever. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Right.
But us growing up, because we're older, we came from a time when things were more based in like things were simpler.
Right.
You know, and things weren't as wacky. Like when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out back then, it was like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, what's that? It's like so weird. Mario, that's so weird. Pipes and stuff. It's like, what is this? Now a game comes out, nobody thinks that. It's just like accepted.
But what I have to say is that 90s weirdness is still very structured. Oh, it's food. It's electric blue. It's like it's still like themed. It kind of has.
It's a 90s theme.
It has like a consistency. Now, like a guy in a carrot costume, like you could literally go to a convention and there'd be a guy in a carrot costume and nobody would say anything. It's not weird or quirky or anything.
And it's like things are more like random now and more accepted. And
it's like totally different. But this is like, man, this game is like nothing I've ever seen.
Right.
Oh my God.
Back then.
Right. And now it's like, oh yeah, carrot guy.
Nobody would blink an eye at this now if it came out.
You could throw that in a game right now.
Yes.
And people would be like, sure.
There's probably a carrot suit guy in Fortnite or some shit. Like, I would imagine.
There's a banana guy.
Or a banana guy or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's essentially what you're doing. And yeah, can be like a little bit cryptic. Oh, you got to know to go to the carrot guy to identify your items. It's like, how would you even know that? You know it through trial and error and playing the game. You got to play some rounds of it. It's like, you know, you ever
it's
learn
like any roguelike.
You learn like a board game.
Yeah.
It's like the first time you play, you don't know what you're doing, but by the third time you play it, now you're having fun. You know, it's like that. So essentially you're going up the levels and you're walking around, you're uncovering these tiles, and as you get further in it, it gets harder and harder and harder as you go because they start adding in more enemies that do more damage. There's things like you get to a desert where there's moles that come out, and the moles will attack you, and they will steal your presents, and they take 2 presents. And one thing I didn't mention is, I mentioned like you get a present. And you're hoping for a good item, like rocket shoes or something like that to get around faster. But you can't just open it because it could be something that could just instantly. There's a present that you can get that'll just instantly kill you, and obviously you don't want to get that. So you want to take it to the identify thing. But the thing that I didn't mention is before you go to the identify thing, he costs money. So you also got to get money to pay him to identify it. But money doesn't come up that much. So you're walking all around and you find $1 and then you get to him and he's like, no, it's $2.
All he gets is $1.
Yeah. So you're just getting like dollars. So it's not an easy game at all. And there's a lot of things that'll happen to you to knock you down to the previous level. So let's say you're on level 15 and you're trying to get up to level 16. You can fall right off the edge because the group of nerds will come and like push you off the edge, or a tornado will come out and the tornado picks you up and literally just drops you into space, and then you go down to the next level. Now, sometimes going down to the next level can be a good thing because the lower levels are easier. So you might get to a certain halfway through and be like, I'm having a hard time. I'm struggling. The enemies are hurting me a lot. You go back down to level 3, you might be able to handle that better. Then you can walk around, uncover all those tiles, like uncover every single tile on the map, and you can get your meter long. You can get your experience up higher so
Right.
that you can handle those later levels. One thing that I definitely have to mention is the special secret in the game.
Okay.
So let's say you're on like level 20 and you're like, oh shit, I need an extra life or whatever. There's a secret that you can do. If you go all the way down to the first level, and you can't do it when you start the game because you need an item. You actually need the inner tube, because where you first start, it's like this little island all surrounded by water. You come back to the beginning with the inner tube and you go to the bottom left corner. You get in your inner tube, you swim over to the bottom left corner, and there's a special area. You drop into a hole, and then there's a special area that you go to, and it's a little kid, and he's selling lemonade, and then there's a bunch of girls in a hot tub, and you go up to the kid with the lemonade, and he gives you an extra life, and then if you get into the hot tub with the girl, whoop, your energy meter goes up. You might have thought I was doing something else, but I think that might be what they were implying. And then you can fall in the hole, and it'll take you back up to the level you were on, and you press on from there.
Wow.
You only get so many lives in it. Like I said, it's not easy, but I was able to beat the game, and the game's got a great ending, and I just want to talk about the ending.
Oh, that's cool. I'm glad you beat it.
Yeah, I did. I very narrowly, because there was actually the tornado is like coming after me. The tornado is like 2 pixels away.
Wow.
And I made it, or else the game would have been over. So it was very like a narrow win. But I got there. They showed this like funky like animation of them like flying their ship back. But then what's cool about it, and what more games should do, is you land on your planet. There's some dialogue or whatever, but then ToeJam, you get out of your ship, and then you can walk around your home planet. Because think about, I'm going to do Zelda here. You beat Link to the Past, and they just show this like long thing, and it shows all the characters.
Right.
Instead of that, imagine if you could still control Link and go around and talk to all the characters instead. And it's like you go up to the king and talk to him, or and different things happen at the end.
That's cool.
So you're playing the ending.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is more fun, because it's not just the thing you're watching, you're still playing the game. So you get to like walk around his little town, and you get to the end, and it's like it's ToeJam's like little house and whatever, and all you see his little like ToeJam family and shit. Right. It's like really, it's weird, but it's funny.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I guess I have to mention this because ToeJam has 3 legs, and the middle legs is dick. Okay?
Right.
Are we done? Like, I had to mention this because that's going to be in the comments. It's like, what's the third leg or whatever?
Oh,
yeah,
that's what I said. Mike was like, "Yo, I'm playing ToeJam and Earl." I'm like, "Oh, what's the third leg, Mike?"
Yeah, it's a third. He's an alien, and he has 3 legs.
Yeah,
I mean, that's it. Everybody has to make everything like horrible,
right.
or whatever.
Yeah.
So I beat this game with ToeJam. The other thing that you could do is you could beat it with Earl. Earl walks slower, so that would be harder to do because you're trying to like run away from enemies. So I beat it. Basically, it's like easy, medium, hard. So I guess I beat it on like the easier setting technically, and then you can beat it with you could beat it with a friend. And the one other thing I should mention is that there is Random World and Fixed World.
Okay.
Fixed World is the same game every time you play it. Random World means they randomize the maps, and I think that that's really the thing that gives the game legs, is that you could keep playing the game and they'll always get a different map.
Did you beat it on random or fixed?
It was random.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah,
I would rather play it on random than the fixed thing.
It's amazing. I'm thinking about NES, Super Nintendo, Genesis programming. Having procedurally generated levels in a game that's on one of those systems it's
amazing.
Amazing.
Especially with all the detail and characters and things going on. It's like a very impressive game. And the people that put it on the list of best Genesis games, I think it's deserving to be on there.
It's definitely unique. It's an experience that you can only get there.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of games like it.
Yeah.
It's like if we talk about platformers, there'd be tons. Oh, maybe I like this better. If you're talking about, funky 90s roguelike.
It's the only one that exists.
It's the only one that exists.
And there was the remake that came out, and only thing I can say about the remake is that I played it a couple times, and I really liked that one too. Don't really have a negative thing to say about it. A lot of times they'll make a remake of a game, and I'm like, they ruined it for this reason or that reason. I like that version too. I think they did a good job on it.
I do have a question. You look at screenshots of this game, and you look at the bottom of the screen, and it says like ToeJam is a wiener. or Earl is a wiener.
Yeah.
What's the deal with that?
The deal is that they were giving it a name that, so that's your level.
Yeah.
And then they wanted something that sounded bad because you don't want to be called like a wiener, right?
Yeah.
So then the next thing is like Toe Jam's a bro or Toe Jam's a dude, and you gradually get better terms as you level up.
It's like Sewer Shark.
Yeah.
Do you remember Sewer Shark? Like when you first start,
Shit Shark.
when you first start, you're like dog meat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like,
yes.
what's up, dog meat?
That's a great example.
Right?
Yeah.
And then as you progress, you get like better and better names.
Yes.
But nobody gets better and better names because you just hit the wall and die.
Right. And then turn it off and play.
And then you never play it again.
Something else. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So that's the perfect example. So that's what it is. It's your level. So I mean, there's probably more things that can be said about this game, but what I can say is, I think people should give the game a shot. And if honestly, like if you're one of the people that you're watching this and you're like, you still think the game sucks, or leave a comment below because I'd like to know what you think sucks about it. And also, have you actually played it? Because I find that, you say to somebody, you'd be like, oh, this game sucks. It's like, well, have you played it? Well, no, but I'm just like looking. It's like, well, you didn't actually play it. You know, or spend any time with it,
Yeah, this game definitely fits in the like kind of weird genre
It is weird.
world of Genesis, where you have games like this and General Chaos and Hauntings starring Poltergeist.
That's a weird game too, yeah.
Like there's a bunch of weird Genesis games.
That's something that I love about Genesis, though, is there's so much like creativity. See, that creativity used to be like on our actual systems, and it didn't fall to the indie developers.
Right.
It's like that's the stuff we went to Toys R Us and bought.
Yeah.
It's like, imagine that'd be cool if you could go to Toys R Us and buy like some of these indie games.
What I really like Toys R Us for is birthdays, because kids, man, you're always buying a birthday present for some parent.
Yeah.
Some kid's birthday's coming up.
Right.
Oh, Jimmy's birthday.
Your kids'
friends are always
and they gotta
having
get a
birthdays.
present. Yeah. How does that work?
So then you got to get a present and bring it to.
So what do you like drive over there and drop them off with the present?
Well, when they're really young, you got to stay, and it sucks.
And you stand there, and then you got to
You
talk
just
to the
stand
parents.
there, and they're like, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" And I'm like, "I'm an asshole on the internet. What do you?
Right.
What do
and
you?"
You're like, I don't want to talk about.
I'm like, dude, I
Right.
can't do this.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, "Oh, I'm in accounting." I'm like, "That's great. Let's talk about that."
See, that works. Right. That works for people that are like, I work at the restaurant. Where do you work? Oh, I work at the other restaurant down the street. Oh, that's nice. Are they selling hotcakes? Yeah, we got hotcakes too. Like that works. But when you're like, oh, I work at the restaurant. What do you do? I say fuck 100 times on Twitch. And they're like, is
it safe? Yeah,
I got a bunch of cameras, and then
right? Yeah, I record in a basement.
I record in a basement with cameras. They're like, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's the sports conversation where they're like, "Oh, we're gonna talk about the Eagles now, and now I need to know about the Eagles because I can't embarrass my child."
Right.
So now I'm like, "What's going on with the Eagles?"
You watch a little bit of football.
I do. No, I watch.
You're better off with that than me.
No, I watch a little bit of every sport, but like I don't have like a fantasy team. I don't have like this encyclopedia. I don't know what the Rams are doing right now. Right. So now I got to go there and do that, and then. The school my kids go to is like the parents are very involved. So now I need to know what's going on with the school. And, when they get to a certain age, now this kid likes this kid, but this kid doesn't like this other kid.
Fighting and everything.
And it's like, dude, could we just have a fucking birthday party?
Right.
It's cake.
Now, what kind of game? Now, I went in the 80s when I was like a kid. I went to birthday parties. I remember going, and they had. I swear to God, I don't know if this is a thing anymore, but they had to pin the tail on the donkey.
Yeah, dude, I've been there. I've been there.
Is that a thing?
Yeah. No, what I'm very excited about is my one son is going to a skating party.
Okay.
And like that,
hockey.
No, like roller skating.
Roller skating.
But they wear rollerblades now, but they're doing that. So I'm like,
I used to go to the roller skating rink with my sister when I was a kid, and they had the arcade, and that is where it probably would have happened anyway, but
Right.
the first thing is me falling in love with all those Pac-Man machines and like the side art and everything, because I was so young at that point, I couldn't really play them, but I could look at them, and I loved them. So I think that's a good thing that the roller skating is still going on.
Dude, I loved going to the roller skating rink, and there'd be like early games I played, like Golden Axe, like the Konami beat 'em ups, like the Simpsons and the Turtles and all of that. Street Fighter. There was like a good time period where they had a Street Fighter, not even Champion Edition, not even Turbo, Street Fighter 2. Mm-hmm. Street Fighter 2 sitting there.
Well, Street Fighter, I just want to say something. I'm not a fighting game guy, but the version I used to play with my friend was just Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
And later, I didn't even know Street Fighter 2 Turbo was a thing. We used to play just Street Fighter 2, like the slower one.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the arcade version of that.
Yeah. So that was there, and we put so many quarters into that because it was like you would form a line. I mean, everybody who's watching the show knows, but there'd be a literal line of kids who were going to play, and I would play with like Blanca, and I had the lightning, and nobody knew how to deal with that. Now you like deal with that. So I sat there and I had like 8 wins, and
I think maybe because I would be Chun-Li.
Yeah,
I think
with
she had
a
a thing.
kick.
She had a thing where she has this down kick thing. I think you could get by Blanca's electric with that. Maybe.
Right.
It's been such a long time. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I have a skating party coming up, so I got to take my son skating a few times so that he's good to go for it. And I got to go get the present, and it's gonna be fine, but it's a lot of work. This gift giving present situation takes a lot of my time.
I always wonder, like, and then if you're the parent, and then the kid gives the present to the other kid, and then they open it, and then they're like and then the next kid gives a gift, and they open it, and they're like, "Oh, this is awesome." That's like a shitty feeling, right?
Right.
But they like the other present more.
Well, it's a 3-dimensional problem now. Okay. Because like right now, you or I could go to the store and buy the kid the best fucking present.
Right.
But you can't.
Why?
Because there's dollar amounts that are acceptable.
What?
You can't buy a too expensive present.
Why?
Because then the other parents will be mad at you.
Oh, fuck.
Right?
Yeah.
And what that dollar amount is
that's true.
Is a moving target. They don't tell you what it is.
Oh, and you don't know what it is.
You don't know what it is. Oh. They know, but you like I don't hang out with these people. I don't know what the dollar amount is, right? But there's a dollar amount that.
But they all hang out, and they're like texting each other, and they're like, "Yo, so $68 is the
There's
dollar
no way
amount.
it's $68.
Whatever.
With some,
I don't know what it is.
With some parents, it's like 20.
Okay.
With other ones, it's like 60.
Right.
It's like, but you don't know unless you know the kid, and it's like, can you send over some financial statements so I can figure out what the fuck this present?
So my kid isn't an asshole, or so that I'm not an asshole for buying something too expensive.
Too expensive or too cheap.
This is stressful.
It is. It's way too much trouble. And I got 3 kids. So I'm doing it like 3 times.
So what's the good part of taking the kid to the birthday party?
Picking them up and going home. It's dead serious.
Really?
Yeah. No, I'm like,
you're like, it's fucking over.
All right, thank God. Right? I have to say that video games for kids, it's made it hard because they all play like a very subset of games and they have them all. But where it is nice is if you know there's a kid that's really into Roblox or really into Fortnite, you just buy the Fortnite bucks or the Roblox bucks, and you just put it in the card and you're done.
So it's like, here's your Fortnite skin, bye.
Yeah.
But you know what, though?
And the kid loves it. He'd rather have that than any crap you gave him.
I mean, you know what, though? It's just... So with our parents... Like, I know, like, the old men of our era, they always loved trains.
Yeah.
When I was 10, I didn't want a fucking train. I wanted Nintendo games.
Right.
I wanted an NES game or a Super Nintendo game or something, right? So now it's like a bit, you know, I can't play that. Like, it's fine if the kid get the kid what they want.
Yeah.
Don't get
absolutely.
Don't get the thing that you think that they should have. Get them what they want, because that's a shitty thing to do too. Is to be like, oh, I don't think you should have the Fortnite skin because I think that that's shitty. You know what? Well, my parents probably thought NES games were shitty.
Right.
You know, you get the kid what they want.
Absolutely.
You know,
you can never go wrong. If the kid likes Roblox, you can never go wrong. They'll be happy as a pig in shit when those Robux come. Right. They're like, yeah, give me the Roblox. Yeah. I need this.
Right.
Right. And you're done. So it takes a lot of the stress away of the process.
Right.
Right. It's like,
it's easy, at least.
Yeah. You know, and everybody's happy. It's very transactional. Yeah. It's good.
I mean, we should be thankful, because I remember, you know, being a kid and you get this big box, right? With this thing in it. And then guess who gets to put it together? The parent puts it together so the kid can play with it. So isn't it better off that you only have to give them the fucking card on the computer?
The parent's like,
yeah, thank God I don't have to put together this big fucking thing. Just go on your computer. Bye.
Yeah. Not to make the show about this, but I do have to say that I've noticed that the whole kids gift giving thing is such a contentious thing. And it even was, thinking back to when I was a kid, like some Christmases, some birthdays, like it'd be crazy. Like there was one where I got like Super C, and I got an NES Advantage, and I got another game, and I got all this stuff. And then there'd be other times where I'm getting like almost nothing.
Yeah.
And I think it was like the economy and stuff. Like it's really stressful to like provide for kids.
Yeah.
You know?
And to get the right thing and make sure they're happy, and you know, and you could even be trying to get the right thing, but you're not sure and you buy the wrong thing and then they're upset.
But you know what?
Just like, ugh.
You know what? If I was a kid and I got either of the games we talked about today as a gift, I'd be happy.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Jet Set Radio or ToeJam and Earl.
Oh my God. Honestly, I didn't have the Genesis until later. If I would have had ToeJam and Earl when I was like 12, I would have loved it.
There's a lot to put into it.
Also, if I would have understood how to play it.
Yeah.
Because I think that, just like your experience with it, I think if I had it back then, I probably would have popped it in and been like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
No, I mean, my experience with it as a kid was pretty simple. It was this is cool. Look, I'm going around. Oh, I got the rocket shoes. I'm going over there. Oh, I'm floating over here.
Which that's fine too.
Oh, maybe I go in the elevator a few times.
Right.
But like, oh, those enemies are weird. Oh, here's a pizza. Like, it was cool. But like, I noticed when kids play games, they're not like beating it.
Right.
They're just, true. You know, I watch my son play Farming Simulator and drive around in a circle for 3 hours. Like,
right.
He's happy with that.
I mean, that's a good point. Like when you're that age, it's harder to like figure that kind of stuff out and to get out of it what the designers intended the satisfaction of it to be.
Right.
Is not always, you know, it's like, I'm going to go back to like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles again. We talk about that famous, you can just walk over it. The you can just, and we've talked about this before, but the you can just walk over it part is supposed to teach you, it's supposed to teach you how to walk over things later in the game. So that part's still like an early on part of the game. What they intend you to like get out of the game isn't like until like later when you know the controls and all that stuff. And a lot of these games, I feel like we played them, but were we playing them properly? Some games I think we did. I spent enough time as a kid with Zelda 2 that when I was a kid I'm talking about, I think I played that game properly and thoroughly, and I experienced it the way they intended. But there was a lot of games where I popped it on, didn't know what I was doing, and I was just fucking around and didn't get out of it what those designers were like, oh, this is how kids are going to enjoy this game. Yeah, you know?
You know what I think's funny? I experienced that with Jet Set Radio. I got Jet Set Radio as a kid when I was learning to drive a car. It's unbelievable how big and difficult and how much time I put into this game as a kid and how it was like mystifying to me.
And now you can put it on, do the whole thing. And I
put it on And literally, I got 2/3 of the way through this game in like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like, I should have been on the road. Like, what the hell?
I mean, we have had so much more gaming experience. I thought of I was playing Hunt Down recently. I think we talked about that on this show. There's like a boss near the end of the game where it's like a snake and it's shooting all these bullets out and you have to like avoid them. But in Hunt Down's like a platforming type of game.
Yeah. Because
I played so many shmups and stuff, when I didn't have a hard time with it. But if I played that when I was a kid and I see all these bullets coming at me, I would be moving around erratically. Like, I don't know what to do. But I've had the experience now playing all these other games. When a big volley of bullets come at me, I'm like, I know I can handle this competently. You know?
Yeah. I just think it's crazy that I'm better at video games now than when I was like 16. Like, significantly better.
And I got to say something about that too. People often say, oh man, I'm older now. I don't have those skills I had when I was a kid. I can't do this anymore. You can. You can. And you know how I know that? Because I felt that way for a while too. Oh man, I was better when I was 18, when I was 20 at these games. I'm getting older. Like, this isn't for me anymore. I went through that for a little while, and it's when I started streaming more all the time, and I'm playing all these games. Having the chat there pushes me further to go further, and I feel more confident now than ever, really, with video games. The ability is there. It's just, do you have the time to sit there and play the games? Because maybe you're too busy because you've got other things to do. You got a job. You don't have enough time to play the games. Your ability is within yourself. It's just how much you're going to apply it and play the game. You guys all have that same ability that you had when you were a kid. You just got to sit down and put the time into it and do it.
Yeah, and there's studies on that. Like, yeah, your reaction time gets affected when you're older, like slightly, like your reflexes and things like that. But it's like milliseconds. You're not being chased by a bear.
But it's like you have to train yourself. It's like how older people play crossword puzzles and stuff like that, and Sudoku and whatever, to like train your brain and keep your brain active. It's like that. It's like you gotta be in it to win it.
Yeah.
You know.
But Jet Set Radio, man, I crush this game now. Yeah. Just no problem.
Yo, Ryan crushes this shit.
I crushed it. Yeah.
Fucking Jet Set Radio. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. We have a Patreon. Go over and check that out because we have a lot of special episodes that we film on there that we think you would enjoy. This show is available on lots of different podcast services. So if you don't have the time to open up YouTube, click YouTube and sit on your desktop or on your phone or whatever, listen to the audio version of this, because we do this show also as just an audio podcast, and you can listen to that wherever podcasts are found, but like Spotify and
Apple Podcasts,
what are
Google
some other
Podcasts, Spreaker is the service we use, iHeartRadio. There's a lot of places to find it.
So maybe get some of those on your phone if you'd like to listen to this show as audio as well.
Yeah, and if you are watching on YouTube, which most of you are, please like and subscribe. It helps us out a lot.
Thanks for watching, guys.
See you later.
I have so many things I want to talk about. I'm going to get off track here.
This is the case of a game that was far more popular in Japan than it was in the United States.
They never went to Mordor. What are you talking about?
It's kind of weird.
But there's real detail. There's like wiring underneath.
You know, they're one and done. That's it. Sold
Yeah.
out. So they're super hard to come by.
You heard him, guys. Bring it back. Here we go again. Round two.